Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. This is my official 2024 recap video, and I really wanted to make this video because I feel like I lived multiple lives this year. I started off this year as a tech startup founder living in the Bay, and now I'm back home in Seattle as a full-time artist. A lot has happened. We've grown a lot online from like a couple thousand to now 46,000 followers on Instagram, and there's also a new Instagram channel and we have 5,000 people here. So there's a little recap of my social media journey, my online business, Patreon, as well as my in-person markets and thoughts and learnings I have. Let's start off with a quick chronological order recap. So in January, I had just moved to San Francisco because my then co-founder and I received a sum of money for our startup from a very famous incubator. And so I packed my bags, signed a lease, and moved into a tiny studio in San Francisco. I had literally just a mattress on the ground and no other furniture because I was really committed to the tech founder lifestyle. Yeah, I was really committed. I was ready to do the thing that everybody wanted to do, that I felt like that I went to school for and trained to do. I had put all my art stuff aside. I wasn't posting on my Instagram account. I was ready to be the next unicorn startup. Flash forward a couple of months, a lot of things happened, but I eventually decided to not work with my co-founder anymore, leave the company, and I started drawing again. There wasn't a distinct moment where I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this full time. I'm gonna do art full time, but I think it just naturally was the thing in my life that I really enjoyed doing. And I was like, you know what? I think I just need to do the thing that makes me happy. And I think I need to do the thing that I've always wanted to do. So in May, I reopened my Shopify store. And then June through July, I started doing a bunch of local art markets. I also uploaded my first artist vlog. August, we went on a big Asia trip. I will post a vlog of that one day, and that was also nice, seeing family, being able to travel. And then for the rest of the year, from like September through December, I was doing even more conventions. I was flying out of state, doing craft fairs and anime conventions and gaming conventions, and just like really getting as much exposure and experience as I possibly could. It's been about like 8 months now since I've been doing this full time, and Surely Art is profitable as a business. We were profitable in 2024. It's nothing crazy, but I'm surviving. Instagram is probably where I saw the most growth, and it's also where I put most of my energy. Beginning of the year, I had somewhere between 2,000 to 3,000 followers. I don't know exactly because I was trying to look at the data, but Instagram only shows you like the past like 90 days. As of end of December, I have around about 46,000 followers there. Now that's over 2,000% growth. My investors, if I had any, would be very happy with me right now. I was really determined to grow on Instagram because I knew that this year it would mainly be me driving kind of B2C sales. Like I wasn't doing a lot of wholesale, I wasn't doing a lot of trade shows. Me bringing my own traffic, selling directly to consumers. So I knew it was really important that people knew that I existed and had a place to see my art. And a lot of people have asked me throughout the year, like, how do I grow on social media? And, what do you do? I don't really think there was anything that was particularly new. I think all the information is out there, but essentially there were two things that I did. Number one, I started posting a lot of reels, and they were around mainly like my business. How do I make a mystery bag? How did I make certain displays? How much I earned at particular events? And I'd also share things like my cafe doodle series, where I would go to a cafe and then just like doodle and show you the cafe and show you my doodles. I also posted a lot more of my art in a more consistent style. I'd say there's like two categories of things that I drew. One was like my animal spreads, which are like really fun and cute to make. And then the other are like larger illustrations, but I try to make it more cohesive in terms of like whether it's color palette, the type of things I would draw. Like I always include a little animal character in there, whether it's like cats or bunnies. And I also introduced like this little girl character. She would always be in those pieces as well. So I really niched down in terms of style if you compare the art that I posted this year compared to the art that I posted, let's say, in like 2021. Just in terms of content that drove the most engagement, I would say it's actually a mix. There was a couple of reels that really popped off, and usually those were around like business insights, how much money I earned at particular events, like tutorials for making certain things, like how you make mystery bags, how you make displays. For my art, I think it was a little more unpredictable. Like there was I think there was like this like cat post, and there were like the bear series that received a lot of attention online. Yeah, I think I was really lucky in the sense that a lot of my art posts I felt like were being seen a lot more, and I don't know if it's because of the fact that I was posting more reels and then people would like be brought in. Yeah, because I really struggled with Instagram growth. I've had this account for 4 years now, a little over 4 years, and for the first 3 years I was like hovering at like less than 3,000 followers. My art style has changed. The type of content I posted has changed. And also, before, when I wasn't doing this full time, I had no consistent posting schedule. It was like 2022 where I just completely abandoned my account. I think the growth that I saw this year really was due to just being more productive on Instagram, posting a lot more, and being more conscious of the content that I'm choosing to share. It's weird because it's like I almost manifested the growth there. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this now, and I'm just gonna post. And it's gonna happen. And then it really did. I think the big learning here is that, number one, you really need to provide value to your viewers, whether that is information that they can take and apply to their lives, or be very emotionally impacted by the content. If you look at my most popular content, it falls into one of those categories. And number two, although a lot of people say it's so hard to grow on social media right now, I think I saw growth pretty quickly. I mean, look, gaining 40-something thousand followers in a year, you can say that's a lot, but you can also say that's like nothing. There are people who like, jump to like 1 million followers in a year. Like, I'm pretty proud of what I achieved. I think the key is like, if you keep doing it, even if the algorithm is changing, even if what you're posting today isn't working out, as long as you keep doing it and you get better and you learn and you adapt and you just keep doing it, it will happen, even if it is slow. And it's so funny because like pivoting from tech to art, like two completely unrelated fields, but I feel like a lot of these learnings, providing value to your customers and just not giving up, is also some of the key points to having a successful startup. I just think that's pretty interesting. It's not like I posted every day. I think I posted maybe about 2 to 5 times a week. And in December, I did like a 30-day challenge where I posted something every single day. I wasn't very strict. Like, I wasn't one of those people who decided like, oh, I'm gonna post on Tuesdays and Thursdays at like 8:45 a.m. in the morning. I didn't do that. I didn't have a backlog. So it was very scrappy and it was there was still a lot of like flexibility and freedom around that. And I think that's what I'm gonna do in 2025 as well. Like, I'm not gonna have like a military schedule around my social media planning, but I do hope to be a little bit more structured and maybe build out a backlog, hopefully. Overall, I'd say Instagram has been very good to me this year, and I've met a lot of wonderful people through Instagram, and I'm gonna continue posting. Next year, I also want to do more streaming, so yeah, we'll see where that goes. Another big area where I put a lot of energy in and a big driver for my business is my in-person markets. So I did craft fairs, night markets, out-of-state anime conventions. I've ended at 25 events this year, big and small. And my earnings from my in-person events account for over 60% of my total revenue this year. So I'm really grateful to have done the markets that I did. On table fees alone, I spent about $4,000, which is a lot of money. I would have liked to done more, honestly, but I got into it too late. Like, a lot of larger events, their application deadlines were last year when I was still trying to hustle in the tech industry. I feel like I still did a lot. Like, I spent my birthday in Portland while I was at a convention. Markets are really great because regardless of your social media presence, just pop your stuff out like a little traveling merchant, and if people like your art, they'll buy it. It's a really great way to like have an income even if you have no other marketing, branding, or anything like that. I mean, it's not as easy. You still have to make the stuff. You still have to think about your display. And there's a lot of prep that goes into markets. I invested a bunch into my display. I have different floor plans. Like, I have my 6 feet display, I have my 8 feet table display, I have my 10 by 10 feet display, and then I have what do I do if it's in a corner versus inline. Constantly iterating on all these setups. I did everything from like night markets to conventions to craft fairs, and doing all those events I think really helped me understand how others perceive my art and my products, and that helped inform like which direction I should take my business in the future. I also got questions around, how do you even know what markets there are? Like, how do I get into this? For me, there were 4 routes. Number 1, Discord. It's a huge Discord with a bunch of artists who do this like professionally, like con artists, not scammy artists, but they like go to conventions. On that Discord, people are really helpful. There's like a con news channel where they will post, someone will be like, hey, this event is open. Another one also on Discord is actually through a local Seattle artist channel. It's a much smaller channel, but it's great for keeping up with local events. Yeah, it's really wholesome. I really like how artists keep each other informed and help each other out. And number 3, you can just search up YouTube, like Artist Alley vlogs or craft fair events. You can watch the vlogs and decide if the vibe is for you, if it's worth your time. And finally, what I did initially was just like literally Google local events in my area. There are usually some websites that post upcoming events over the next few months, and you can click into those event websites and see if they have a tab that says get involved, and you can submit an interest form. That was how I did my first local events. Discord channels, word of mouth, YouTube, search up the internet in general. And I really want to ramp up the conventions I do in 2025. Like, okay, I missed out on so many opportunities this year because I, missed the application window because they were open last year. And so this year I was like, here's my spreadsheet. Like, these are all the events I'm interested in. This is when applications should open. And then I just like tick them off as I apply to them. A couple of learnings. I think a big part of doing these in-person markets is like weeding out the bad events and knowing which good events to go to, right? Like, this is just my personal opinion. I think there are 3 parts, 3 things, rules, things I think about to maximize the chances of this being a successful market. Number 1 is choosing reputable markets that are known for having high foot traffic volume. Number 2 is figuring out if your ideal customer profile is going to be at that event. And then number 3, knowing that there is never the best display, only a better display. So I think it's really important to find markets with good track record. I think that is 80% of the key to success. It's so much easier to be very profitable at a good event than it is to try to be like the best vendor and like really hustle and make sales at a very low traffic event. Now, there are big events with like very niche audiences, which is why it's important to understand who your typical customer is and if those people are going to be present. And then finally, a couple of other things to look out for is there a change in venue, change in time, or a change in organizers? Like, even really successful, reputable events can be heavily impacted by any of those changes. My opinion is that it's very hard to lose money at these reputable events with an audience that overlaps with your ideal audience. Like, I'm very aware of the fact I'm doing this full time now, so I need to be able to make money and live off of this. So my top priority is not to be in the red, is to make a profit. And following those 3 rules, even since before I was doing this full time, I've profited at every single event that I've vended at since starting my vending journey in 2023. Obviously, there's a lot of luck involved as well, and I hope 2025 treats me kindly. But on that note, if you do lose money at your first event, like if some people like watch this vlog and you go do your first event, you're like, damn, I really lost money there. It's not the end. Sometimes it's the market's fault, sometimes it's your fault, sometimes it's no one's fault, like bad things happen. But there will always be better markets out there. That's why it's really important when you're first starting out to test the waters, like don't go for the gigantic out of state event that's going to cost a lot of money until you have some understanding around baseline performance for yourself. Do your research, go to the ones that have been around for a while, and make sure that nothing has really changed about the event, and start small, start local. Once you've built that confidence, you can go big. Always know that there is room for improvement. Just because you're successful today doesn't mean you can't improve your setup. Just because you're not successful today doesn't mean it's going to be like that forever. Keep at it. Online shop. So I sell both on Etsy and my Shopify store. Etsy is mainly for international orders, and then Shopify is just for US domestic orders. And across both platforms this year, I've made 1,714 orders. Right now, I can't just live off of my online sales. I'd like to get to the stage where I could have, things like in-person markets just be supplementary, and I'll do a couple if I feel like it. My online store is probably the most puzzling for me because I feel like I should have more orders and more higher value orders given my current following base. And that's just from what I observe of artists in general. I feel like I should be doing better. And this year, I feel like I really tried to do a lot. I did a couple of shop updates. I made preview posts, usually a week before my shop update. I have nicer product photos. I feel like I'm doing all the right things, but the return is just not meeting my expectations. My current theory for why that is that a lot of people that discovered me or follow me this year are artists or like small business owners themselves, and they follow me for content like, how much did I earn at markets, and like, this is how you do XYZ for your business, instead of the art. You might enjoy the art as well, but I feel like that's not the audience that would spend money on my products. Yeah, like they're here mainly for the content and not for the art products. It's just a hypothesis I have. And I feel like I'm gonna do some changes in 2025 that's gonna help me secure more people from what I believe to be my target audience who would buy my products. Yeah, I really want to work on my online store in 2025. I think I can do a lot better there. Adjacent to my like online presence, I actually started a Patreon sticker club in May this year. So when I started my Patreon, I was like very excited about it. I wrote a whole North Star doc. I wrote a whole PRD. I feel like I've been really happy with my Patreon progress this year. I started my Patreon in May, so it's been about 7 months, and I have 61 paying members, and it's growing every month. I really did not think anyone would join. And I think one of my really popular reels is like me reacting to the fact that someone joined my Patreon, because I didn't expect that much. So I was pleasantly surprised. The reason why I started Patreon was because number one, I really wanted a place to connect with people that really enjoyed my art, would be like my biggest supporters. And number two, have a creative outlet that kind of forced me to create something every single month. Number three, have another place that is a stable stream of income, regardless of how big or small that stream is. So what did I do for Patreon to help with the growth? Honestly, not that much. It goes back to being consistent. So every month I would design 2 stickers for my Patreon club, and I would post it on Instagram. People would just naturally discover me that way, and so I'll get new members each month, and obviously each month like people drop off as well. And I think number 2 is like making it affordable and international. I only have 1 tier. I decided to just start simple. I was like, let's just start something. Don't get in my head about like all the tiers that I want and like all the options people could have and use that as an excuse to like delay launching a Patreon. Let's just start simple, have 1 tier. It's called the Gimme Stickies Club. And for $8, you will get 2 dishwasher safe vinyl stickers that ships anywhere in the world. I think that's pretty amazing value if you look at like other sticker clubs out there. I'm like, okay, I would join someone's Patreon if that was what was offered to me and I really like their art. So yeah, I just try to make it really affordable, and I was just really consistent with the fact that I did it every month and I posted about it every month. Yeah, I've really enjoyed Patreon. It makes me creative by forcing me to be creative. I think I'm kind of like a lazy artist in the sense that like if I'm not really, really in the mood to do something, I won't do it. But now I'm like, no, I have an obligation to my Patreon members, my biggest supporters. And so I'm always very motivated to create something. And after I do something for Patreon, I always feel more motivated to do other things. In 2025, I want to maybe introduce other tiers, maybe like a sticker sheet tier. I have some ideas there. I really want to do eventually like an enamel pin club. I feel like for enamel pins, you really need a certain number of people, and I'm just not sure if I can reach that. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways. Last but not least, my YouTube channel. So I posted my first video on here about 8 months ago. That's like disregarding the random videos I made like 3 years ago. And since then, I've made 12 long form videos. If you also count the first video that was like 3 minutes long. Technically 12 long form YouTube videos. And I also repost a bunch of my reels from Instagram to YouTube. Right now I have almost 5,000 subscribers. I got monetized in, I think, November, about 6 months into YouTube. It was my goal to start monetizing on YouTube, even if it was just like $1. And so I'm really happy that I achieved that. I really enjoy making these long form videos. It's okay. Honestly, it's like really frustrating. Like I don't like it when I can't envision the whole project very easily. Like I like making reels because I can like think about it, film it, edit it all within the day. But for YouTube videos, it's obviously I can't do all of that. Editing takes ages, takes days to get the content. But I think it is challenging me in ways, and it is making me grow. So I like that, I guess. Yeah, and so many people come up to me and say like, I watch your YouTube videos, and so that's been really great. I think it is a really meaningful channel for me to like connect more deeply with people and like show you more of behind the scenes. YouTube is definitely going to be one of my top priorities in 2025, and I'm going to be posting a lot more frequently. I'm going to be posting different types of content on here, so yeah, don't get too excited. I put up a video telling people I'm making this 2024 recap video and asked for Q&A, and I got a bunch of questions. I think some of them are already addressed, but let's pick out some more. I really like this one. What are some hard truths you tell yourself back then as you started out? What are some tough realities everyone is going to face starting out? I think it depends on the background that you're coming from while going into this as a full-time career and how established your art business is. Like, are you quitting your job and going into it with like nothing? Do you have something already going for you and then you're like transitioning into this full-time? Yeah, there's so many different factors, but I guess just like from my personal experience, tech, at least when I graduated and for the years I worked there, was a very cushy, overcompensated industry. Like, it's a very comfy lifestyle with not a lot of like actual number of hours put into the job. Might be putting in way more time and way more effort, whether it's like mental energy or just physically, like I'm going to conventions, I'm traveling, flying all the time. Like, it's a lot more work in that sense for not as much return, at least for now, right? You have to be okay with that transition. You have to make lifestyle adjustments. You have to make sure that you're able to be able to financially have a safety net for you to figure things out as you're trying to establish this new business. You are going to be the only person responsible for this business, and you have to continuously be motivated every single day to work on this and see the gradual changes and improvement. And you don't know what next year is going to look like, what the economy is going to look like. All you can do is just work hard and hope that it works out. And I think for a lot of people, that instability can be really hard. And so I actually have a lot of people who ask me, send me these really long emails and really long DMs telling me details about their life. And then they'll say, do you think I can do it? And I'm like, I don't know, because you have to do it yourself to know if this will suit your lifestyle. So I always encourage people to just go sell at one market, just like start posting on Instagram or like open up Etsy, do something and then go from there. I guess something else I didn't expect was like the amount of time that I would not have for art. That's weird phrasing. The amount of time I had to spend doing non-art things. Like, I knew it, but I didn't really know. You know what I mean? There are some days where I have so many things to do, but none of them, not a single thing on the task list is like draw. You know, sometimes that sucks. I don't know. For me, I still romanticize my life. I'm like, wow, I'm so happy. I'm the happiest I've ever been. I love this. But I know in reality, I'm still doing a lot of stuff that is like, you know, not the rosy stuff. It's just like, I think I just like it so much that like everything else also becomes likable. You know, everything else affiliated with Shuli art that I might not like doing, I just like the whole thing. So maybe that was not the answer that you were looking for, but yeah. But I would say, yeah, financial stability is the biggest thing. It's real, and you have to decide if that's the path that you want. What is something to really prioritize when trying to grow and reach more people? I'm assuming they mean like growing on social media and like reaching more people on social media. I try to prioritize things that will highlight just who I am as a person and things that I really enjoy. I was really surprised actually, like the content that I really enjoy making also did really well on social media. And I think that's just a reflection, and like when you like something, you'll put more effort into it and it seems more genuine and people can see that. I feel like sometimes like when I really try to force it, when I really feel like I should make something XYZ type of content or edit things a certain type of way, it doesn't always pan out. Yeah, I think making content that's really authentic to what you want to do and who you are as a person has been something I really prioritized and helped. In terms of just like, how do you grow? I think I mentioned this before, but like just being consistent. The likelihood of you like posting something and then going viral is probably very, very low. So just like don't go in with that expectation. Post what you like. See how people respond and make little tweaks here and there, try out different things and just be persistent. It happens at different rates for different people, but as long as you don't give up, as long as you keep on going and making changes, it will happen. What apps, if any, do you use to track your business finances, social media traffic, and yearly, quarterly, monthly, weekly goals? A very good question, very practical. I use QuickBooks for my business finances that tracks my business expenses. Social media traffic, honestly, I don't really track it. I just look at my Instagram and go into like the professional dashboard where it tells you, views and how many people are liking. I used to really obsess over that, but now I don't really look at it at all. In terms of like what I use to track what I need to do every day, it's called Todoist, and it's literally just like a to-do app. Yeah, I just load up the tasks for the week and then move things around if I don't do them. And I also use Notion. So Notion was really helpful. They have like a calendar view, and that's how I would kind of try to plan out things I need to post, events I have that month, and things like that. But I try to not use a lot of apps. And it's just me as one person. And I really do believe it doesn't need to be overly complicated. I was that kid in school, instead of using like really fancy like organizers and stuff, like I would have one book, like I would have my like journal, like notebook or whatever, and I would only use black pen, red pen, and a highlighter. And that's it. Everything else just like made it too complicated for me. Like I couldn't understand my notes, or like I'll set up a system and then forget what system I set up. So I try to keep it simple. Is it possible to still make a decent living from your online art shop alone without doing any markets, conventions, etc.? No. I mean, in the future, hopefully yes, but right now, no. What's your biggest piece of advice on staying consistent with posting daily? I think this is in reference to my December's posting every day in December challenge, where I posted something every single day. There were a couple times where I came really close at the end to not doing it. The biggest thing that helped was probably having my husband remind me. It'd be like 8 p.m. and he'd be like, where's the daily post for today? Where is it? I guess telling people around you that you're doing it and just ask them to like shame you if you don't. Because you're either like mentally very strong, you're like, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna put it on my to-do list, it'll be the first thing I'm gonna do. If you know you can't do that, if you know you're gonna lose motivation, especially like, if you're like, oh, people won't interact with it, I'm not getting a lot of traction, you're like, oh, I should just give up, whatever. That's someone else, a friend, a family member, to just like shame you. I don't know. That's what worked for me. What's been your biggest hurdle to overcome, and did you ever have times when you wanted to give up? What got you through it? Apart from like the very like realistic ones, like, oh, are you financially equipped to do this? Things like that. I think the biggest hurdle was actually mentally getting over the fact that I am doing this and this is not what I was trained to do. I had good grades in school. I went to a really good school. I did the right majors. I was an economics and computer science major. I had the right jobs. It felt like I was throwing away all of that for something that I have no competitive advantage in, right? There's so many people who went to art schools and so many people love art more than I do. I'm just throwing away all the money and time and effort I put into that specific path and pivoting to something where I would not stand out in any particular way. It's so open. It could lead to complete failure. There is absolutely no job security. I think that was really difficult. How did I get over it? I'm just so much happier now. And I think committing to your own happiness and committing to trusting in yourself and to not be swayed by what society thinks you should do. Since doing it, I have not thought of quitting at all, not even once. I'd love to hear your journey in finding your style. Yeah, if you look at some of my earlier posts, I've archived some things, but you can still see it's kind of really different, and I used to not have a very distinct style. I do like very colorful stuff, and then like stuff with like line art, and then like very graphic designy thingy. Over the past year, since doing this full time, I was very conscious of the type of art that I post, and it's been, I would say, pretty consistent. I would say to find my style, I had to, one, experiment, post whatever I wanted, draw whatever I wanted. Through doing that enough times, I realized like, oh, I really enjoyed drawing these type of things and in this type of way. Like literally earlier this year, I was like, okay, I really like drawing this. I'm gonna commit to doing it. And then if people liked it online, I would do it more. That's just what I post on social media. There's a lot of art that I do that is not posted on social media, that is still kind of like all over the place. Still very much so in the phases of like finding my style. It's just that the stuff I post on social media now is a little bit more curated. How did you build your social media presence? How did that fit into the timeline of opening your online shop, going to sell at art markets, etc.? I think this whole video was kind of answering this question, but to just do a very brief summary, I've had my Instagram account for about 4 years. Very, very little growth for the first 3 years. It really took off this year, going from 2,000 to 46,000 because I decided to post a lot more. I posted more art pieces, I posted more reels, I was posting every single week, consistent schedule, but not super strict on myself. Because I posted so much, I got better at editing, which made it easier to post more, and then with some luck sprinkled in there, that's how I was able to grow this year. How did that fit into the timeline of opening my online shop? I opened my online shop last year when I still didn't have a big following. I have both Shopify and Etsy stores, and I started selling at my first market last year as well in June at a small local craft fair at the university in the area that I live. Yeah. I want to one day start my own business of making stickers/decal packs. What sort of equipment do you use, and is it better to print them yourself or get a manufacturer to do it for you? Excellent question. I've used a Cricut machine before. I now use a Silhouette Portrait 3, I want to say. All the stickers that I sell, apart from some of the sticker sheets, are made by a manufacturer. I used to make them at home, and I stopped doing that because I realized manufacturers can do it a lot better. That's how I'm able to write dishwasher safe on my price signs. But I think if you're just starting out, making it at home can be a really good option, especially if you don't know if a particular design is going to sell well. Being able to just make like a couple and be able to iterate really fast can be really important. I still make stickers at home to test out, and I still make my sticker sheets at home, but I am going to be outsourcing my sticker sheets as well. There you have it. That's my 2024. Yeah, like I said, a lot has happened, and if you in any way supported me in 2024, just so you know, you are absolutely supporting me to live my dream life, my best life. So thank you so much, and I hope we can do even more exciting things. I get to take you on even more awesome adventures in 2025. See you.